Okay.
Somebody got a haircut.
Oh, I was waiting for someone. I thought you wouldn't recognize me. I'm really the substitute. I'm a double. I had my upsharing today. I don't think I ever went this long without a haircut. I don't think so. Maybe since I was 3 years old, I waited my upshare. It was about 3 months, I think, because I was due for a haircut before Purim, which I missed. Once Purim came, then I missed the one before. So Baruch Hashem. So I did it. But we have an audience. So I want to say a few words about, I still have Reb Shimon Yochai on my mind. And, we can all identify with Reb Shimon Yochai these days because we're all cave dwellers to a certain extent, right? And I think it'll touch everyone's heart and give us pause to think about what's really going on. So, the Gemara says that Reb Shimon Yochai, after 12 years in the cave, he comes out, and obviously he lived in the world before him. He lived in the world, but he wasn't so intolerant. But when he comes out of the cave, he comes out and he sees someone's plowing and they're planting and they're sowing and they're reaping, and he says, "What?" He says, "Is this what the world is about? If you don't still learn Torah, how can the world survive?" And wherever he looks, just like post, like in a science fiction story, and wherever he looks, it blows up, and like the world's going to go to pot. So God says, a voice, heavenly voice, comes out of Bascom, comes out and says, "Get back in there. You didn't finish. You're not ready to graduate yet." He goes for another year, and he comes out, and he goes outside. He's already calm. He can deal with it. He's not. But Rabbi Lazar, his son, is still a little not reconciled. Meanwhile, they see this man walking with two branches of a myrtle tree, and he said, "What is that for?" He says, "For Shabbos." He said, "Why do you need two?" He says, "One for Zok." He says, "Look how much the Jews love mitzvahs." And that's the story of Rabbi Shimon Yochai when he comes out. So the question is, what was he thinking in the beginning? What was he thinking again? What was he thinking in the beginning? What was he thinking again? What did he learn in the cave in 12 years that so compelled him to confront these people who were engaged in the mundane activities and not learning, that he would react so almost violently? And what happened in 1 year that he certainly learned a different lesson, that he totally changed around? He's able to look at this guy, this old man with two branches, and find meaning in it. So, I was thinking like this. The pasuk tells us in the Parsha B'Chakaisai. By the way, we have gone with this week's laning the entire Chumash Vayikra without laning. The entire Chumash Vayikra, a whole Chumash, is okay. Pretty sad. At any rate, so the beginning of the pasuk says, "B'Chakaisai Telechu." That's when I say Tishmayro, Vasis Maisam, when I said the Yishmeichem Vita, when I said Yivula, Veda said the Imperioi, when I said the Shalom Ba'aretz, Ushchazme Machar. Amazing, the world, like the ideal times are here. We're going to plow, it's going to grow, and it's going to be healthy, and we're going to have rain, and our enemy's going to run the other way, and we're going to have peace. The animals won't bother us. We don't have to worry about disease, nothing. The world is perfect. So the pasuk seems to give us a simple correlation. If you do mitzvahs, you get rewarded. But the famous question is, Schar mitzvah b'hayam maleka. How do we understand? All the Mefarshim talk about it. The Gemara says, Schar mitzvah b'hayam maleka. This pasuk seems to negate the whole notion. So your things will be good. So I was thinking, and this is a theme that is recurrent in many different Mefarshim, whether they say it exactly like this or not, based on the Medrash. We're not getting too much into the sources. There's not enough time, but basically what it means is like this. The word, the phrase, in B'chukaisai telechu. And what's the word? Chayk. Chayk usually means chayk nasam v'lo yavo. Like Hashem gave a chayk to the planets. They go on their journey, and it's a chayk. It's a law of nature that they it's just a law of nature. Chayk implies something that's natural. It's embedded. It's not something external. It's just what it is. That's what a chayk is. So I think this is something that many of the Farshim are saying. What it means is like this: that Hashem gave us a perfect world. There's a perfect world. Hashem gave us a formula. The laws of nature are contingent. So normally we learn that pasuk to mean if you don't keep the Torah, there's not going to be chukas shemayim v'aretz lo samti. I'm not going to give you the chayk. So that's the reward. Doesn't mean it's a reward. It means Hashem, I gave you a perfect world. If you look at this world through the prism of Torah and you live your life doing the natural law of life, which is Torah and the Ratzon Hashem, then the world responds with the Ratzon Hashem is to give bounty, to give peace, to give health, to give children, everything, all the wonderful things in life that we hope to happen. And there's no strife and there's no anxiety. So it's not a reward, it's simply a consequence. If you keep the laws of nature, you fight the laws of nature, then the nature will turn against you. If you manipulate the viruses, then they'll turn against you. But if you do the natural order of the world, the Torah gave a blueprint. He looked into a Torah, and that's a blueprint of the world. Everything we see. And when we do the Torah and the mitzvahs in its proper form, then the world has reason to exist and to give forth its bounty and all the benefits, the marvelous benefits, Hashem, the hashpah that He gives in this world. So Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, while he was dwelling in that cave, of course, he had a lot of time to think, but he realized that he understood the law of nature, that without Torah, there's no world, and that's what Chesed Telechu. So what do you think his reaction would be when he comes out? He says, what are you doing? If you don't learn Torah, if you don't do mitzvahs, and you just engage in planting and sowing and reaping, then the world will cease to exist because it only gives if it gets. It only functions if it gets the nutrients that are natural to it, which is the people who keep the Torah, that give the world its reason to exist. And in the natural form of the world, in its pristine, perfect form, when all the laws of nature are operating properly, so that it naturally gives it to you. It's not a reward, it's just a natural reflex of what you do. So that's what he came out. So Hashem said, no, you're missing the point. I need you to go back and think about this again. So he comes out, and then he realizes, and he sees that, and he learns something new. And this is something I spoke about earlier in the week. He learned that, you got to look deeper. You've got to see people for what they're worth and understand their challenges and look for the positive in them, like I spoke earlier in the week. And I thought that that's really what it says when he came out. And he now sees someone a little more kindly. And he sees a guy carrying 2 myrtle branches, and he realizes the depth of each yid, every person with his personal unique role and what he contributes to the laws of nature, of the world, that Torah life suffuses with meaning. And he found that this guy, with this elderly man, with the Zachar and Shamar, he was obviously had a nakuda within him that he was able to appreciate. And that was the legacy of Rav Shimon Yochai. So he was writing the first time, and he was writing the second time. The first time he came out, and he realized, but then he came to realize that everyone contributes. And even if not everyone can learn, and everyone can learn the same levels of Shimon Yochai, but we are one, he says, we are one entity. We are Nasa Adam, Nema Bavarecha. That's what the Lashon in the Pisman, that we say, that he understood that there's the body of Adam, which we are all part of, and each one of us gives a contribution. And he had that ability to look at every single individual and realize that they contribute in their way. It was all part of a big conglomerate. And each one of us infuses the world with the meaning that it needs to function properly. And that's what I thought it says. I once saw a pshat that says, Bar Yechai nimshachta ashrecha shemen sasa mechavrecha. The first part, Bar Yechai nimshachta ashrecha. Nimshachta, you were anointed. That means, you were placed on a pedestal, you're anointed. Ashrecha, you are praiseworthy. That's a simple pshat. Others learn that nimshachta, he was anointed. He had a special quality that whenever something went wrong in life, he would say to himself, Rav Shimon Yochai, Ashrecha, you're fortunate. Whatever goes on, whatever comes your way, it's the Ratzon Hashem, just take it on the chin. And Ashrecha, that's what he said. Nimshachta, Bar Yochai Nimshachta, you are exalted, you are anointed with the ability to say Ashrecha about everything in life. I want to take it a step further. I think what it means is, Bar Yochai Nimshachta, you know what you were anointed with? An amazing quality. You could look at anyone who came, anyone in that screen and beyond, and you could say Ashrecha, Ashrecha, Ashrecha. Not you are fortunate, you are praiseworthy. That's what his talent. And that's what I think it's about. So I want to say to Nanda. So basically, my feeling is, the message for tonight is that, if we live our lives in accordance with the Torah, then everything works out. And, all the problems in life are all results of our not operating and functioning within the natural order in the right way. We deviate, we have distractions, we don't do what we're supposed to do. So then the world, in the consequence, it turns back to us. So I was thinking, a lot of people, I was taking an unscientific poll. I speak to a lot of people, I said to mothers and fathers, and I asked them, what is the sum total of, these 2 months that you've been home with your children? Has it tested your relationship or has it enhanced your relationship with the kids? By and large, most people say enhanced. They didn't say it's not a challenge, but they've gotten a deeper connection and a deeper appreciation for their kids. And then a certain mother told me the following thing. It was so touching. I tell you, I was just mistayman. I just was in awe. And she said, she has a younger child who she was afraid. Some of the children have issues with, developmental stuff, nothing terrible, but, the standard brand stuff today. But the youngest one, she was afraid that he wasn't talking, and he wasn't talking. And meanwhile, he has 3 other siblings, or 3 or 4 other siblings, and they go to school. He's not there all day. He's home. He goes to daycare. And he wasn't talking. And she observed that in these 2 months, the kid started to talk. Not only did he talk, he became a chatterbox. And not only did he say a chatterbox, but he was saying intelligent things that she never believed that he could express himself. And another thing she observed, she has one child who needs treatment for attention deficit and, medication and things like that. And meanwhile, they can't go to school. And they do whatever Zoom they can at home, but the mother's home with the kids. And for these 2 months, he doesn't need medication. He's calm. He's peaceful. He's engaged, and he's happy to do the few hours a day with the Zoom, whatever it is. The mom should transition. And you know what the reason is? We created a crazy world. In the primal normalcy, a mother's supposed to be a mother, not supposed to go to work. A child's not supposed to go to daycare. Kids aren't supposed to have a dual program, from the morning to at night, and we entrust it to others. The ideal world is Shinantam Levanecha. Again, maybe, it's part of the gullus we have to go through it. I'm not saying we can change it. But look what happened when we went back to primal normalcy. When we went back, when we went back with the prescription that the Torah tells us how we're supposed to raise our families. With nurturing and having a mother and having a father more around and actually being engaged in their learning more than the teachers are, and not giving our children off so we can go to work. And again, it may be the reality. I'm not saying we can change it, but it certainly brings this home. When you do it right, then the world responds. The anxieties we create for our kids. We've created kids with attention deficit. Why not? We make them crazy. But when we nurture them and we bring them back to where it's supposed to be, the laws of nature, the way Hashem defined by the Torah in its pure form, so then it just wears away. It's mind body. This blew me away totally. And the other person has shared with me that a person, a man in the world, he said, he learned, sitting and thinking, he's realized that there's so many things we don't need. We make our lives crazy. We got to go get pizza. We got to get the coffee in Starbucks. We got to, go to Coffee Bean, and we got to, eat at a restaurant, and we got to get this. Look what we're managing with that. We create anxieties. When we go back to primal normalcy, when we go back to being a caveman, we live the life, the world responds in the way it was meant to respond, not as a reward, as simple concept. I always like to say that we're tied in with the sphere, entering into the sphere Taniser is chesed shabi yisayid. Yisayid is family. Yisayid is family. Is Yosef. He was Mechalkel. He was the one that brought the family together. They almost fell apart, but he was the one that brought them together, rectified them. Yisayid, that's where that represents the bris, which is where families begin from. But it's about families, about the foundation, it's about a family. Family, chesed shabi yisayid. Chesed shabi yisayid. That's what it's about. To go back to the yisayid, to the primal normalcy, I call it, and go back to the foundation of this world. Hashem gave us a pure, pristine planet that will just, no ozone layers will peel away. The rivers will flow. You won't have unnatural disasters, and you won't have coronavirus, COVID-19s, because if you follow b'chakosei telechu and you live in the ultimate normalcy, which is a life of Torah, then Hashem will give it all. That's my message for tonight. I hope you all enjoy that. There was something I'm pretty passionate about.
This computer?
I thank the anonymous permission, but they're really inspiring me. I was blown away, and I'm sure you want to. It's just, and it's so true. We're going to find so many things about ourselves, and it ain't so bad being a caveman. What can I tell you? Even though no longer I don't look like a caveman, but I still feel like one. Okay, folks. And as they say in the old days, that's all, folks.